right, we're going to move on. I think we've got another 1980s person.
Another 1980 and another huge helper at Gnarlsbad. He's another one of those people that would just help without even being asked. Kind of hung out quite a bit. I mean, he was very prompt, always there. So I'd like to introduce Roger Frakes, 2025.
I'm just not playing video. Congratulations. Thank you.
Sorry, should I do?
You're going to get your video. Okay.
Double click it. There you go. So we're going to watch.
Roger Frakes attended his first BMX race in 1978 as a spectator at Spinnin Spokes in Omaha, and from that moment he was hooked. The following year, at just 13 years old, Roger jumped behind the gate and began his own BMX racing journey. That first season, he raced exclusively at Spinnin Spokes, but it didn't take long for him to discover the growing BMX scene across the region. Soon, he was competing at tracks in Lincoln, York, Crete, Beatrice, Sioux City, Waverly, and Council Bluffs. Out of them all, his favorite was Gnarlsbad Raceway in Omaha, a track that left a lasting impression on him. Roger quickly became a part of the local BMX community, forming close friendships with Chris and TJ Heyden. He wasn't just a racer, he was a contributor, helping water the track and run the gate during practice and race days. As his skills improved, so did his ambitions. Roger began traveling to larger events, double pointers, and national races, proudly representing Nebraska on a wider stage. Thanks to Tim Lillethorup, Roger earned a co-factory sponsorship with Powerlight, a major milestone, followed by a full sponsorship with Mr. Bike, where he continued to race competitively for the remainder of his BMX career. Though life eventually took him to Tampa, Florida, BMX never left Roger's heart. He introduced his two young sons to the sport when they were just 5 and 7 years old, managed his local track, and spent the next decade traveling the country with them, reliving the same excitement, friendships, and memories that BMX had given him as a kid. Today, Roger Frakes is honored to join the very riders he once raced against and admired as a 2025 Nebraska BMX Hall of Fame inductee, celebrating a lifelong passion for the sport that shaped him. Let's welcome Roger Frakes to the Nebraska BMX Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, brother. They're getting in the middle.
Right here in the middle, Roger.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a seat and we'll talk.
A little feedback.
I gotta say, those shorts you had on, whew, man. You know, it was the 80s. It was the 80s, that's for sure. Were you watching a little bit of that Magnum PI or what?
Spandex came next.
So, part of your bio talks about how you went to Spinnin Spokes as a spectator, but it took you a year to get going. What happened there?
It was funny. The first time I went out there was one of the Red Line Tour races, and went out with a neighbor friend of mine, and his sister took us out there, but forgot to pick us up.
So you were out there for a year?
Yeah. So we just started walking. I lived over by Northwest High, so you know what kind of walk that would have been.
That track was in the middle of nowhere.
Bit of a hike. That was
And what was really kicked it off was the dudes from the Red Line Tour van were the last ones out of Spinnin Spokes, and they pulled over and picked us up and literally drove us to our front door.
That's rad.
Was
And
it
I was
like the Schwinn team or something, or the?
It was a Red Line van.
Okay.
But they had, swag in the back and bikes were rattling around. And I'm like, that's cool. If somebody doesn't know me from Adam and they're going to take me all the way home out of their way, I thought it was cool. So I had an old junker bike that I had heard that it was $6 to race. So I took my $6 out to Spinnin Spokes, but it was supposed to be $10 for insurance as well. So I wanted to I think it could be insurance only or novice, but I didn't have enough money to do the novice. So for a year I rode with the number 4 plate which was one I had ridden with when I raced motocross prior. And then finally got my first BMX bike in that year, and it was a Suzuki frame.
Oh, those are
That
cool.
was just heavier than heavy.
Yeah,
And-
they were mild steel. They weren't light. They were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Dale Husky's brother ran over that, so that's when I went to a Robinson's.
Now, do you have kids?
I do. I got 2 boys.
Did you ever tell your boys, don't ever get into a van that pulls over and picks you up?
No, I did.
It was the 70s, dude.
80s. 80s.
Well,
could
it was
hitchhike
still
then.
the 80s. No, I mean, as soon as you showed up at the track, you had like that instant top speed. You know what I mean? You guys race against him? He was like, out of the gate, gone fast. And I don't know where that came from, but like that picture of you jumping from behind at Gnarlsbad, like you were at top speed and you were gone. And just, quite an impression, for sure.
It was something, from the time I was 4, when I got my first Schwinn Stingray, they bought me that bike because I was riding a neighbor kid's bike.
Yeah.
And so Dad finally bought me a Stingray, and I lived on that thing. Also, and then especially getting into this, same thing with Anthony riding the wheelies. I'd start down at the end of our neighborhood and ride as flat as I could till I started to go up the hill until I just could not go anymore and then drop it.
That's so cool. And now, Chris described you earlier today. I want to make sure I have this right. He was a real track rat. And he meant that in a great way, because he said he was always there. He was helping Rankin, helping, doing whatever we needed at the track to make sure it happened. And that was part of it, right?
It was that Anthony nailed it again. It was the people, man. I remember one race, I broke my brake cable, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And somebody I didn't even know said, here, I got an extra one. Let me help you put it on. I'm like, dude, I don't have any money to pay. He's like, don't worry about it. And it was that kind of people all the time that I just loved. And these two, they were my best friends, and they were really part family, because that second year of racing, I only raced at Spinnin Spokes in Gnarlsbad. And I didn't even know about Lincoln. So it wasn't until that third year that things really started to click, that helping Chris, and Abendroth, you got off easy. I had to put trophies together. I wasn't whining about calluses on your hand. I was bloody. But no, it was just, I loved the camaraderie that we all had. And that, nobody was rich, nobody was poor. It was just a good group of people.
And you were kind of an ambassador. You introduced a lot of other kids to racing, didn't you?
Yeah, a lot of the neighborhood kids. Then I got into it with my kids in Florida, and that took it to a whole nother level. They raced for 10 years, and they still talk about it today, the fun times that we had. I'd have, our tracks were lit in Florida because it was so hot. A lot of times you race at night, and I'd have night races, Friday night you could come out and camp, and I'd leave the track open till 11, and it was free, and anybody could ride. You had to wear your gear, but if you were going to do that, you had to help with the track the next morning. You had to help water, and so it was, and Chris taught me that. And so it was, and everybody loved it. They rode till 11, lights went out, or I think it was 10. And then I would have, on the side of my camper, I had a projector, and I'd play one movie, and 9 times out it was 10, it was Joe Kidd on a Stingray. So I literally wore the DVD out. But they would rather watch that than, like, you guys want to watch Avatar? No, Joe Kidd and Stingray.
That's perfect.
So it was fun.
Very cool. Well, anyone you want to thank tonight?
I'd like to thank my wife. We live in Austin. She made the trip for me. This is so important to me. I was so giddy all day coming because I didn't know who I was going to get to see. I knew Tim was going to be here, but we literally pulled up. I said, I hope a friend of mine, Rod Edwards, is here. And there was a car in front of me that was getting off the interstate, and Karen said, I think they're going to the same thing. And the closer I got, I thought, who's coming from Omaha that would I wonder if that's Rod. And sure shit, we pulled up next to each other, and it was hugs. I mean, so everybody, everybody really does. You guys formed me as a young man. I mean, I'd really like to say that. I mean, it's how you treated everybody. You're just good human beings. So thank you. And I'm very honored to be in this.
Wow. We're honored to have you in it. Hey, thank you for being our newest inductee into the Nebraska BMX Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Roger.
Good job, brother. Thank you.
Love you.